Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to learn how to kickflip on a fingerboard. Now my last tech deck tutorial was on the ollie, so if you haven't seen that, I would encourage you to watch that first on how to get this fingerboard off the ground in the first place. So once you've watched that, come back here and then we can get into the kickflip part of this. It's basically the same thing as the ollie with one or two extra steps involved. So at the very beginning of the trick, this is no different than an ollie. You're gonna kind of use a backwards motion to flick the board forward, but then this is where it changes. On the way up, when you're kind of backwards, you're gonna use your pointer finger to flick the board just a little bit. And I mean just a little bit. When you start learning this trick, it's probably gonna look something like this. You're gonna pop it, you're gonna flick your finger, it's gonna be way too hard, and it's gonna flick way off the table. It's gonna look probably like this. And it's just gonna spin forever because you just flicked it too hard. I can't stress enough that this little flick you do with your pointer finger is very delicate. You're just barely touching the board to flip it because the fingerboard, I mean, it's very light, they're not heavy. I actually prefer heavier fingerboards. I'm actually using the new Tech Deck Pro series, and it's pretty heavy compared to some other fingerboards that I've used in the past. I prefer the heavier ones because I feel like I can flick harder and I don't get punished as much with the lighter ones, especially like a normal Tech Deck. They're pretty light because they're, you know, plastic. So similar to the ollie, I would practice just kind of scooping it into my hands and then maybe just giving it a little flick. Sometimes that works if you want to practice it that way, but it really is a very fast motion. I'll show you some in slow-mo in a second. The nose is there, so you have something to catch when this finger flicks it. Honestly, a lot of times I don't use the nose every time. I really just kind of push my finger down instead of like a traditional kickflip. Like on a normal skateboard, you would flick out, but your finger doesn't work that way. There's no ankle on your finger. So a lot of times I'll just push it straight down to get that flipping motion instead of trying to go straight up like this. That in my opinion is way more difficult. And that might be the incorrect way, but I can kickflip into other tricks, and that's just kind of how I've learned it. Now I will say, when I first got into fingerboarding, I was kickflipping completely wrong. I was popping and sliding my whole hand up, and actually my back finger, the one that pops, was catching the nose and causing it to flip. Only recently, in the past like year or two, have I like forced myself to make the correction to start flipping with my front finger. So that might happen to you if you're into like the sliding motion. If you pop and slide too much, your back finger is the one that's gonna catch it. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's such a fast motion, nobody's really going to know. So if you learn it that way and you get good at it, that might be the way you wanna kickflip. Unlike real skateboarding, no one's really gonna know. So just do whatever works best for you. Also, just a quick disclaimer, I am not a professional fingerboarder of any kind. I just dabble in this. I'd say I'm pretty mediocre. I can do some more difficult tricks. I know most of the basic tricks, but this is just something I do for fun, and I figured I'd pass my wisdom and my knowledge that I know already on to you. So if you like this video and you're interested in any more fingerboard tutorials, just let me know down in the comments. I can try to make some more for all of you guys out there. Now, another very helpful tip if you're still struggling to kickflip rolling forward, one of the best ways to do this is to learn it fakie. And if you don't know what fakie means, fakie essentially means riding backwards. So instead of trying to kickflip rolling forwards and doing the kickflip, you can practice it rolling backwards and flicking anyway, because the tip that I've taught you in the past video how to ollie, you know, it's already like when you're moving forward a backwards motion anyway. You kind of throw the board into your hand like that. So when you're already going backwards, this makes this a lot easier to learn, because then all you really have to focus on is the flick. So you would just roll backwards, pop it, and then as it's going that way, you know, you just tap it with your front finger and it causes the flip. Fakie flips are significantly easier, and that can get you started on your way to doing a normal kick flip. So here's some fakie flips rolling backwards. See, like, I think that is so much easier than trying to do it rolling forward, although that worked out pretty well. So that's how you kick flip. Again, the key to this trick is this backwards motion. Once you learn how to ollie, it really just becomes second nature. Like, you're rolling forward and then boom, and that's kind of how it works. And then once you've got that, you add that little flick in. It's gonna be really frustrating to learn at first. Fingerboarding is not something your fingers are really meant to do. When I see some of the pros do some of the stuff they do, it amazes me that they're able to manipulate their fingers in certain ways like that. Kind of crazy. So don't get frustrated. That's like the most important thing. Try not to get frustrated, and eventually it will come around, and then it'll become second nature. You'll be kickflipping like a pro, and then you can start kickflipping into grinds and slides and other types of tricks, kickflipping downstairs or whatever you want to do, because the kickflip is like the most essential trick in a skateboarder and now a fingerboarder's arsenal. You can go anywhere after you learn how to do that. So if you like this video, hit the like button. It helps me out a ton. I would greatly appreciate it. Leave a comment if you have any suggestions. If you're a pro fingerboarder or anything and you happen to watch this video, you can leave some tips for me down in the comments. I would appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.